One of the main concerns in rural healthcare is that the patients doctors have worked so hard to keep healthy won't have access to preventative care anymore. In that case, what could have been stopped by a simple visit to the doctor's office will lead to a costly emergency room visit instead. So far, the county's put down about 5 miles of these concrete barriers and filled more than 800,000 sandbags. And while it's keeping the highway clear, homeowners like Jerry say it's not keeping their property safe. County officials told residents to expect 5 to 20 years of this kind of flooding. When I asked Jerry how she felt about that, she said, 1 down, 4 to 19 to go. Last year, Arizona's citrus crop brought in $100 million. Its cotton crop brought in $150 million, but craft brewing brought in $200 million.
I have a dream.
Some Arizonans' hearts are in Washington for Sunday's dedication of the Martin Luther King Jr. Memorial, one whose church was where Governor Bruce Babbitt first honored King with a state holiday.
He called me one Friday and said, "Reverend, how about me signing the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday from the pulpit of the First Institutional Baptist Church?" And it happened on May 18th, 1986. I'll never forget it.
But what Warren Stewart and others also remember is when that holiday was taken away, canceled by new Governor Evan Meacham. It caused boycotts and protests before finally being overturned by the people. One man who led the fight, Paul Eppinger.
When the vote was taken there in November of '92, 61% of Arizonans said yay.
Another Arizonan touched by the memory of King, Richard Tolliver, who actually met the man being honored this weekend years ago in Alabama.
It changed my life on the very night that I met him. I saw him change the lives of many people.
The statue stands unique on the National Mall, where King gave his most famous speech.
The fact that he was not a president, and he's on there with all the rest of the presidents who are honored, that is monumental.
These men just hope the symbol affects us all.
I think using Dr. King's model and his ethic is a great substance. It's a substantive thing that we can do.
People still have a dream. They still remember the dream that Martin Luther King had.
Thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
In Phoenix, Matthew Trotter, Cronkite News.
And those are for Mr. Esposito.
Patrick Coughlin practiced medicine in the Northeast for 30 years before moving to Cochise County in 2008. Now he splits his time between a small community hospital in Bisbee and one of its rural health clinics 16 miles away.
I always tell people the big difference is I see more horse-related injuries than I did in the Northeast.
He's doing his best in a system destined to collapse. Arizona's rural hospitals anticipate multi-million-dollar debts because of state Medicaid cuts, some more than 20 to 30% of their budgets.
That would be like every dollar you spend, you have to borrow 20 or 30 cents. Well, that can't go on for a long time because you'll just go right under.
It's not just in this corner of Arizona that a combination of state and federal cuts have rural hospitals on life support. Copper Queen Hospital cuts services, unable to keep offering care patients need but can't pay for.
Foot care for diabetics, which used to be an access benefit, and now it's not. You know, I examine feet, and there's certain things I can do for them, but it's, I don't think, the same as being able to see a podiatrist on a routine basis.
Rural hospitals worry fewer services now will mean more problems later. One of the main concerns in rural healthcare is that the patients doctors have worked so hard to keep healthy won't have access to preventative care anymore. In that case, what could have been stopped by a simple visit to the doctor's office will lead to a costly emergency room visit instead. It's a pain the doctors feel too.
If they weren't so dedicated and passionate, they probably wouldn't be practicing in a rural area. And so it's very hard on them psychologically.
You'd like to be able to see somebody, make an evaluation, decide what they need, and get it done. That's what we're supposed to do.
And that is what they do.
You got enough leisure?
Yeah.
But it's getting harder all the time. In Cochise County, Matthew Trotter, Cronkite News. County workers cleaned up Flagstaff neighborhoods choked with mud and rocks. About an inch of rain hit the mountains burned by last year's Schultz fire Monday night, and more storms are on the way. But memories of last year's mudslides are still fresh.
It was black. It smelled like a wet campfire.
Pretty shocking to think that that could come off the mountain that way.
With little soil left on 15,000 acres of mountain, rain brings all kinds of debris tumbling through neighborhoods.
I ended up with 3 bowling balls in my backyard.
This year's storms have jeopardized the area's only major road. Governor Jan Brewer declared a state of emergency, giving Coconino County $200,000 toward work that will keep Highway 89 open. So far, the county's put down about 5 miles of these concrete barriers and filled more than 800,000 sandbags. And while it's keeping the highway clear, homeowners like Jerry say it's not keeping their property safe.
They're not protecting the homes. And each time, their work gets washed away.
County officials insist they've protected 160 homes since last year and say the constant cleanup is hard but necessary.
It's a repetitive nature and there's always potential for an emergency. And it's taken a lot of our efforts.
While the county focuses on the highway,
we all try to help each other out. That's all you can do.
It's up to this community to weather the storms together.